You're watching Force 13's live streaming service. Welcome to another evening of live coverage, although tonight will be rather short because we're doing an outlook towards tomorrow. But of course, it's worth mentioning that we've already had a few tornado activities today. Just now, in the last half hour or so, there was an observed tornado. You can see it there, that little polygon as it was moving through Mobile County in Alabama. Well, today is a marginal risk. You saw just the end of another tornado warning much earlier there too in Mississippi. And these cells are continuing to move through. Certainly could see maybe one or two more tornado warnings. That is actually a new one, isn't it? Not an old one.
Got a new tornado,
That's a new tornado warning. I'm sorry, I misspoke there. That's a new tornado warning there in Mississippi. My name's Nathan Foy. I'm joined by David, Blaine, Logan and Maury. Hopefully we're going to be doing a lot of investigating regarding tomorrow, but in the meantime we have a tornado warning right now, so let's go to it.
So here, let me present this one.
And that's another, is that another one? Is that an extension? This is just issued 2 seconds ago in
it looks like an extension.
Mississippi. Okay.
Yeah, that's just an that's an extension.
So let's take a look at the full expanse of that warning right now on Maury's screen here. Oh yes, just a very tiny little part of it there initially. And well, the extension, what looks to us as the extension, was actually issued first, but the one on the western side was issued just now second, as far as I can gather. I don't know actually, but it doesn't make no odds. So you can clearly see that tornadic signature there, and that is it generally pretty sparse by the looks of things? It's not far from, is that Waynesboro? Oh no, there's a few towns in there.
There is an elementary school near and a high school nearby where the path of this tornado will be.
Yeah,
well, if it is.
So we've gone live here because we were expecting to talk about tomorrow more than anything, but here we are looking at what's going on right now. Just to avoid confusion, on the bottom bar there, those are the risk levels for tomorrow, because I'm expecting that we'd be mainly talking about that. Not today. Today is a marginal risk, but obviously tomorrow we have a big event going on. What looks like a tornado outbreak and certainly a severe weather outbreak on tap for a large area, mainly in Mississippi and Alabama, same places as today. It will begin out there in Texas, and I don't know if Maury will show you, but you'll be able to see it on my screen, with that small area to the west. If we just pan round, you can see this little area here of general thunderstorms. I think that is mainly dealing with early tomorrow morning, and that is what will eventually start up a line of storms as they move along here and continue off towards the east, and they'll develop and get much more severe throughout the day, affecting mainly Louisiana and Mississippi. Sorry, I misspoke. I said Mississippi and Alabama before, but it's actually Louisiana and Mississippi. Along the Mississippi River region is where the worst of tomorrow's impacts are expected to be, with a 10 sig for tornadoes. Whether or not they'll increase those chances or not is another question. But let's go back to this tornado warning right now, and here's a depiction a little bit further out on the map there for those who are struggling to picture exactly where it is, people like me. Just northeast of Hattiesburg there, heading quickly towards the state line into Alabama. And from what we saw on that real close-up velocity, it was looking pretty good. Let's have another look right now with Maury. Tell us what you think of it.
So I don't think it's as strong as it was a few minutes ago, but it still has that tight core to it. It's very tight at the moment, so that probably means it's not very large. But at the moment, it does look like it's going to move in between Pleasant Grove and Whistler, which I believe are just neighborhoods that are part of Waynesboro. This area this area does need to be on watch out for this tornado. If it is on the ground, we're unsure at the moment. Looking at correlation coefficient, it does not look like it's on the ground, so that is some good news. But it still has that potential to be on the ground or about to produce something that will be on the ground. So be aware if you live in between Pleasant Grove and Whistler.
Right along US 84 there as well. I don't suppose there'll be any cameras there. It's I assume it's a busy road because it's a dual road. So we'll see if we can figure out what's going on over there. But clearly a tornadic signature that we are watching out for. And this is live right now, just after the one we saw earlier near Mobile. I don't suppose you want to just briefly talk about that one?
Yeah, so there was this one tornadic circulation that occurred, it was about 45 minutes ago. And if you look at my screen, let me pull this back a little more. You can see that this rotation got really strong for a second there, and that's where that you could see that report come out.
Definitely.
If you look at the CC, you can see there was a brief
briefly.
CC drop with that storm.
Yeah.
And that did line up with where this report was. So that definitely was a tornado on the ground, very close to the radar site.
Well, that is interesting. Blaine, you're also here with us right now. What's your take on how this marginal day has gone by? We've had a few tornado reports. Well, I don't know about reports, but certainly warnings.
Well, I definitely think it's going like a little bit more intense maybe than we could have expected, but I mean, it's 2024, I guess. What can you say about that? So, I mean, yeah, I mean, based on what I'm seeing on radar and stuff right now, we definitely have really organized storms, Mississippi, Alabama, and I just think it's quite a good setup for a severe weather outbreak tomorrow. So, yeah.
And we're definitely going to go into that in a little while as well. Severe thunderstorm warning's just been issued further north as well, and a flash flood warning. And this is for Lauderdale County. So we've got a severe thunderstorm warning there up in Meridian as well. So Meridian, severe thunderstorm warning, and a flash flood warning right now. Logan, you're also here with us as well. Your thoughts from down there in Florida? Oh, another severe thunderstorm warning as well as we speak.
Yeah, it looks like Mississippi's getting a lot of stuff for now, but it's moving eastward, so we're gonna have to see in the later parts of the day what it's gonna do. Move into Florida, move into Georgia. Florida's part of the Florida Panhandle is in the marginal risk. Yeah, so it's gonna be pretty interesting.
Well, tomorrow definitely will. But right now we do have an active tornado warning, so we're going to be talking about that here. And of course that one earlier near in Mobile County was observed as well, Maury. That CC drop you were talking about.
Yeah.
All right, back to this current one then. Back with Maury here, and it may be rebounding a little bit on that latest frame on velocity, although CC doesn't look that fancy. And feel free to send in your comments and questions on our stream tonight as well. We are here for the hour, and we will talk more about the upcoming severe weather events tomorrow. But right now we are looking at this active tornado warning that is present here in eastern Mississippi, not far from Waynesboro. The Hurricane Lee wants to know if we're still working on the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season animation. Well, this year's animation is being produced by Zeta, and I am told that it is just about to be finished. So we may have it on New Year's Eve, hopefully. I don't know yet, but fingers crossed we'll be able to see it before the year is out.
Nathan,
Yes.
can you or Murray bring up the screen, the radar for Waynesboro? Looks
we're
like
right there.
confirmed tornado on the ground.
Really?
Oh, I see what he means. Yeah, look.
It is a big change there.
Yeah, that looks like it's on the ground.
No, fuck.
It's like, to me, too, the CC is dropping because if you look at earlier scans, it looks like the CC hasn't even been touched. Now it has dropped.
Yeah. And it also looks like the storm may be stalling a little bit because
Stalling.
the CC drop doesn't look like it's moved over the past few scans, but that's just one scan, so I wouldn't.
It could just be a funnel as well. A funnel, like, kind of scouring the ground.
Yeah.
Mm.
It could just be like twirling around, you know.
Yeah, and interacting with the ground. Around 84.
So yeah, we don't have a confirmation of it being on the ground at the moment, but there was one just an hour ago in southern Alabama. So we have had, and were there more earlier today? I've not been following.
Yeah, so there actually is one that is rated from today, early this morning.
Right.
It was an EF0 tornado that occurred between 8:45 a.m. and 8:52 a.m. Eastern Time, which is 7:45 and 7:52 Central Standard Time. That storm was in Louisiana, just by the border of Mississippi. There also was a confirmed tornado at around 2 p.m. It's not showing up on this map yet, but there was a confirmed tornado. I think it was around here. It was near Hattiesburg and Richton.
Right.
Somewhere in that area. I might have been wrong on that, but it was somewhere in that area.
Well, let's go back to the current warning.
Yep.
Yeah.
Several of our other members off the air saying it's on the ground.
I don't think it's on the ground yet.
Talking about that tornado, Nathan, I just saw on the warning text that thankfully it will remain over many rural areas of the county. But
that is
could
true.
Still cause some damage.
That is true. There's a few roads in the area. There will be a few residences there, but we aren't talking about big suburban areas or anything like that at the moment. Of course, implicated in that is Whistler, which is a village, and there's a few buildings there as well. Go ahead.
So, obviously, if you're in northern Wayne County, just be wary, obviously. And if you do see a tornado, try and take shelter in the most interior room of a sturdy building.
I'm not as keen with that latest frame, but we'll keep watching that. Still active tornado warning, very close to Whistler, just west. It's literally crossing US 84 right now. There are power lines in the area, one of them that crosses the road itself, so you can always end up in kinds of problems with that. But we don't know much else about this system just yet.
I can try and see if there's any information on social media, if anyone can confirm if it's on the ground.
Whilst we do that, we're looking at the last 2 hours of imagery here as these cells move along. This is a marginal risk today, 2% tornado risk. I think it ought to have been a bit higher than that, looking at what we're currently getting and what we got earlier today. But the main thing that we will be talking about, we think, I think it's just been upgraded to confirmed.
I don't see that yet, but
it still says rare indicated.
I've just got a pink polygon on my screen, which usually indicates confirmed.
It might have just updated. Yeah, it's observed. It's observed.
There we go.
Talking about observed vortex, X on Twitter 4 minutes ago says likely on the ground near Waynesboro. Take cover now.
And this is radar confirmed. 6 miles east of Mill Creek or 12 miles west of Waynesboro, moving northeast at 30 miles per hour. A tornado is on the ground. Take cover now. Over mainly rural areas, albeit, but still a significant menace here. Let's see what the population is in that updated warning. It's probably going to be around the 3,000 mark. 2,700 in the latest warning. So this is another confirmed tornado after we had one in the last hour, and I'm thinking that today shouldn't have been a marginal.
It might be updated. Like there is that update that they come out with at 1Z. Maybe then.
It'll be too late by then, I think.
Yeah, it will be too late. So.
But clearly we're getting active tornadoes here.
Yeah, and I did see there is a few houses along the way in the path of this tornado. It's not like any urban centers or anything, but there is small communities that live in this area, so they probably are getting impacted by this tornado as we speak.
So if you're just joining us, this is a confirmed tornado right now that we've got in Mississippi. We were going to do an outlook about tomorrow, but we are clearly stuck with today after we had another confirmed tornado west of Mobile earlier on, southwest. Now we have this one that's to the just to the west of Waynesboro, east of Laurel, along Route 84. We'll continue to watch this one closely. Maury, just a quick look at the other system to the north that's severe warned. What's that looking like?
Currently, we are seeing that this one has a lot of hail in it. It has a lot of hail, and that is likely falling in downtown Meridian. You can see a couple of that one blue pixel, or now two, are appearing, which indicates up to 70 dBz. So, I mean, I would imagine that it could be larger than an inch, but, like, this is fairly far away from the radar, so it might just be picking up what's going on in the upper atmosphere. But still, just be aware in Meridian, although now it's mostly past Meridian, but be aware in areas just east of Meridian for some hail. I don't think there's any rotation possible with this. You can't see really much.
And a flash flood warning.
Yes, and there's a flash flood warning for the same area, so be aware for flooding in Meridian as well, as this was a slow moving storm.
Yep. We got a new mesoscale.
Oh, mesoscale discussion. We'll go get that.
The southeastern Mississippi and the southwestern Alabama concerning a severe potential watch unlikely at this point in time.
Yep, they're saying that a watch is unlikely for, and I'm trying to get it to load. I think NOAA is having issues today. At one point it was completely down, and right now I'm unable to load this mesoscale discussion.
Well, to bring that up,
but basically
20%.
There's nothing significant to talk about, which is good. So...
Although... an isolated tornado threat should persist for at least a few more hours.
Well, that's exactly what we're seeing.
Yep.
And they are isolated. Indeed, yes.
Based on what Mari has been saying, I just checked now with the SBC's outlook, and there is less than a 5% chance for hail, based on what they're saying. But considering, like I said earlier, it's quite considering how this is not far. It's anything could happen. So just stay alert out there.
That mesoscale discussion is actually interesting, just in the way that
Yeah.
when you look at it, there it is. It's depicting the current situation there, and it has a couple of tornadoes remain possible this afternoon in sort of like that brown shading there, sort of pear-shaped, extending up through Meridian. But you can see those little purple outlines in the middle of it saying best chance for tornadoes, and that is literally where those two observed tornadoes are/have been. So they're really drawing the dots there and saying the best chance of tornadoes will continue to be in those two sweet spots that we currently have right now. Back to what Maury is showing us, and that is the current picture regarding this confirmed tornado. Mostly rural. It will miss Waynesboro, which is good news, and it is currently heading off towards the northeast. If it keeps going in that direction, it will probably pass south of Shibuya, and then it will remain relatively rural. There are some places, buildings, houses, residences in that area, but no real settlements as it continues northeasterly. So it's rural. So impact potential is much lower, but still you could be caught out in this. It's a confirmed tornado right now. Of course, motorists as well. US 45 is the next major road that it will cross. So there we are, this confirmed tornado, which we're currently covering in the backdrop of this major weather week, with much more severe weather expected tomorrow. Once this tornado warning gets satisfactorily quiet, we will take a look at the forecast for tomorrow, which of course is an enhanced risk 10 sig tornado. And a large area of that as well, so we're pretty much expecting a tornado outbreak. Whether those tornadoes are very strong or not, possibly, but certainly concerned about significant impacts, straight line winds, hail. We've not. Logan hasn't had a chance to speak for a little bit. What's your take on tomorrow?
I think it'll be really interesting.
Hmm.
In what way?
In like a way, because right now it's enhanced with a sig. What is it? 10? Yeah,
Yep.
sig 10% tornado risk over Louisiana, Mississippi, and part of Alabama, and some of Texas. And I just think, are they going to upgrade it? Are they going to downgrade it? What are they going to do?
Well, I don't think they'll be downgrading it. Just want to mention here as well, near Mobile County, including the city there, it is under a flash flood warning as well, with that cell moving over the area there. It will be mostly out shortly, maybe 1 or 2 little bits more of rain on the way. Of course, we've got that. I don't think that was a severe thunderstorm warning. It's a marine weather warning, but it could be a severe thunderstorm warning once it moves ashore there, very close to Dauphin Island. So keep watching for that one as well, coming in off the coast. This tornado warning continues. It's just been updated here. The size of the polygon is starting to shrink a little bit, but it is still a confirmed tornado. Maury, latest frames from your end?
Yeah, it still looks like it's on the ground. It doesn't look like it's as strong as it used to be, but it still definitely is on the ground and still impacting communities. Right now, it's near Beat 4 Shibuya Road. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. And Fred W. Road. That's just an approximate location. It could be slightly left or slightly right of that. I'm just sharing the approximate location that's showing on radar. It would approach just south of Shibuya and close to Matherville as it approaches the border between Mississippi and Alabama.
just north of Whistler right now. You were looking
Yes.
at, was it Beat for Shibuya Road? What an interesting name. That's not far away
Yes.
from where this tornado is right now. Sahab has a couple of comments there as well. 8+ tornadoes they think were confirmed yesterday, which is a lot in a small warm sector that didn't seem likely to produce. Well, it didn't at first, did it? But later on, things really got going. Maury, was it 8 first of all, and were you surprised?
I believe it was 8. I mean, looking at the reports from yesterday, let me just pull this up. This is gonna just take a moment. So looking at the reports from yesterday, you can count these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there was, I believe, one additional tornado. I'm not exactly sure where that was, but I do remember. I think what they're mentioning is there was another tornado report near Alexandria that occurred later in the night.
Just for my information, Maury, what are those coloured circles? Some of them are orange, some of them are grey.
Those are radar sites. Those are radar sites.
Ah. What does it mean, though? A status of the radars? What are the colors?
No. When it's an orange radar, that just shows it's like a terminal radar. It's sort of like a regular radar, but it's less long distance.
Yep.
It's like has less of a distance to it, so it can't really cover as much as the gray radars.
No problem. Right now, the reason why the radar I'm showing you isn't as clear is because I'm looking at the national picture. Maury is showing you a much more close-up and personal from one of the local radars every time we take a look at that tornado warning and anything else we look at. Sometimes I switch to the locals on mine as well, but I generally like to give people more of a national picture whilst our team over there are more heavily focused, tunnel vision almost on those individual cells. Well, that one is continuing on. It is still a confirmed tornado warning there, and we'll have to wait and see whether the tornado warning actually reaches Shibuya. They'd need to extend it, and soon if they reckon it will, although it looks like it will pass south. Additionally, there was another comment there as well. Have we seen how ridiculous NATOcast tomorrow 12Z run is? I've never seen that before from it. I don't know if anyone has seen that.
I've seen that, yeah. Basically, let me just paint the picture for you.
Okay.
It was showing... Let me just go back to it, because I can't show you this because it's on a different chat. But let me just show... Wait, I'm not going to show it, but...
That's alright, we'll just play this radar whilst you tell us what's on it.
Yeah. Okay, so... Basically, it was showing that there was a 30 sig risk for tornadoes in Jackson, Mississippi. And a 15 sig risk surrounding that, and then a 10 sig risk going all the way from western Louisiana all the way up into Tennessee. So that is a little bit insane. I don't necessarily believe that, especially with how the models are right now. Maybe if the models show something more conducive for tornadoes later on, that might be believable. But also, I feel like it wouldn't be... I feel like what NATOcast does is it kind of like centers a very strong area potential for tornadoes in such a small area. That's not really what the SBC does. The SBC does it over like a wide area.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it works, but I would assume that... I don't know, maybe it focuses too heavily on maybe one storm forming and it puts all its eggs in one basket. I don't know. I don't know how it works.
Yeah, that's probably...
Yes, Blaine.
Sorry to interrupt you, Nathan.
That's alright.
I'm just saying from one of our off-air members here live on Tropics is saying an intense couplet is ongoing in the Special Marine warning south of Mobile.
I saw that. There looks to be stuff going on down there.
Definitely could turn interesting when it reaches the coastline, which is soon.
And looking at the actually the velocity scan looks interesting on there.
Are you able to show
the
us?
the special marine warnings. Let me see if I can.
So what are they saying? Water spout possible, and wind
Down
34
here,
knots.
Crossing over to Logan now. And wow, that does look impressive.
and this is what the reflectivity looks like. Oh, we have stuff. Yeah,
We have
see.
stuff.
Yeah, we have stuff. This is near Dolphin. I think that's how you pronounce it. Dolphin Island, Alabama.
Here's a camera from Mobile right now. We'll keep our eye on this one for a bit. There's a lot of low cloud in the area. I was hoping we'd be looking... I mean, I assume we're not looking towards the coast. I don't actually know. But I was hoping we'd have a bit more of a coastal shot. But at the moment, this is what we're able to show you right now. But that will be an interesting thing to watch if that does go on. And stay very impressive when it moves over land. Back to that active tornado warning though, the confirmed tornado warning, which this is. And there you can see it again. Not looking quite as good as it used to, Maury, but still there.
Yeah, I mean, I would still say, because you can see the correlation coefficient is still picking up something. So I wouldn't say it's off the ground yet, but I do think it has weakened. And really, this goes to show how long track this tornado is becoming. I mean, it started from like over here and is now continuing to right around here. So that's probably around 10, 15 miles. I mean, it's not super long track yet, but definitely a longer track than some other tornadoes. But it's a little more uncertain if this is still on the ground at this point.
Yeah, here's another viewpoint right now. I'm not sure you'll be able to see much here. This is looking out across Mobile Bay from the eastern side towards the west and towards where that storm might be. But at present, we're really not seeing very much there. Looks like that pier is under construction or reconstruction. At least part of it is. But that is looking out along the Gulf of Mexico. We'll keep an eye on that one. It is trailing just behind where that other confirmed tornado was last hour, so it could be of interest. I think that severe thunderstorm warning up there near Meridian might be getting downgraded.
I think
Soon?
Well, it shrunk, but it actually now has a tornado possible.
Oh,
now.
really?
Yeah. I mean, there is some rotation on it, but it's not anything too concerning at the moment. But we should still watch it. Also, with that tornado warning storm, I will say I don't think it's on the ground anymore because I'm looking at the CC. It's kind of hard. It's very obscure to tell whether there's anything on the ground or not.
Well, it is, yeah.
So I think.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
National Weather Service is now telling me link temporarily offline. It's back again. For a moment there, it was down again, so they must be having some kind of issues over there. Let's hope.
Maybe too many people receive the Outlook.
But they're not doing any more outlooks until late tonight, are they? Not for tomorrow.
Not until 1Z. They're not going to update today's outlook until 1Z. And then tomorrow's outlook not until 6Z.
Maybe people in America are just freaking out over the tornadoes. Perhaps.
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, Saheb is just telling me a few things in the chat there about the NATO cast. You know, it is it is a learning machine, and They reckon it goes extreme on the risk if there's a bias in population coverage and large-scale synoptic setup. Perhaps, probably. I don't know. I mean, I've seen it there before. I saw the earlier days of it. I mean, sometimes it was right, sometimes it wasn't so good. I sort of feel inclined to just stick with the SPC. And not really go. But then again, severe weather isn't really my my full-on department. Some of our other team members are more inclined on severe weather, but of course, I think we can all cover it quite capably. But anyway, we're still watching this tornado. Still a confirmed tag on it right now as we wait for more info and any updates to the warnings. But last we had from the National Weather Service 15 minutes ago now was that it was still a confirmed tornado on the ground. Well, unless, and feel free to break in if anything else does happen, but let's now take a look at what some of the models are suggesting for tomorrow, because a lot of people want to see what tomorrow is looking like. So there's our current picture right now. Let's turn it off. Let's now go to the Storm Prediction Center Day 2 categorical. And there it is, this massive ballooning enhanced risk. Plenty of room for a moderate in there if it comes to it. Huge slight risk extending over a large part of eastern Texas once again. Over a big chunk of southern Arkansas. Pretty much all of Louisiana except the extreme coast. I think it covers almost all of Mississippi except the very northern extremity. And similar for Alabama except the north and east. And then you can see the marginal continuing out, but that enhanced risk there, and it is mainly for the tornadoes, which is 10% SIG. There's the signature tag, and there is the 10%. 5% over a large area into Texas, and bearing in mind today's a 2%, we've had several confirmed tornadoes. Who knows what we might have tomorrow. And look how far out the 2% extends as well, over almost all of Tennessee too, extending quite away. As for hail, 15%, so no 30 in there. Wind, that's a 30, and that is mainly over that tornado area, almost exactly the same area, just slightly smaller actually. The tornado is the largest area there out of those parameters, 10 SIG. So those are the areas that we are concerned about as we go back to day 1. And just switcheroo back to that outlook. Now let's take a look at the models. The HRRR, this is what it has for the next 48 hours. I'm going to try and get it to load in slowly. So we have the rest of today's event there continuing along. Off it all goes easterly. And if there are any more tornado warnings, we'll be able to see them pop up whilst we're watching this. And you can see some significant reflectivity values there later on tonight. Still, across southernmost Mississippi, southernmost Alabama there as well. Maybe even the Mobile area. Then it all dies out by early morning. And then, just as that's happening, we've got our next area here in this small area of general thunderstorm activity. And that really is pertaining to early tomorrow morning. There it goes, up to 12Z, which is the cutoff point for the SPC as we get into day 2. And there it goes. We start to see these storms developing a lot, entering into northern Louisiana, just east and south of Shreveport. And really massive coverage there to the west as well, as we start to see 2 distinct banks of storms light up. Some really high reflectivity values. Of course, this is a model. Sometimes they do that, but certainly could see some significant hail there. We're seeing quite a few cells on the tail end of there. Look along the border between Texas and Louisiana. A couple of cells there for a brief period. And then later on in the day, they continue to splurge off through the Mississippi River. And that is the main concern of tornadoes that we've got in this area here. And moving up towards the northeast throughout the day into the evening becomes more linear. This is late night tomorrow night. It's almost over by that point, at least for that chapter. And then we have a massive line which continues on into the next day with some more convective cells popping up ahead of that line throughout the early morning into the daytime in Alabama, then into Georgia, then into the Carolinas, where we have a slight risk out there for tomorrow. Later on in the day, you can see how things really start popping off again ahead of that line as it picks up another little bit of weather off the coast of the Atlantic coast of South Carolina. So that's when we'll have that meeting point again, and we'll have some more severe weather, mainly in South Carolina, but also North Carolina throughout that evening time. Pretty crazy there. Yep.
Nathan, I would like to say before I'm going to head off to
All right.
now, so stay safe, everyone. But I would just like to say before I head off that I don't know if anyone saw or if you mentioned this already, but there was that severe thunderstorm warning in Meridian, Southwest.
Yep.
And I'm looking at radar right now. Wait. Yeah, you can definitely tell it has blown up in convection in the latest frames. So
All right,
stay
interesting.
safe out there in Meridian. And I am glad I could contribute to the coverage tonight, and hopefully I might be here tomorrow. Stay safe, everyone in
All
the
right.
US, and good night.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. We're just going to take a quick look at the NAM here as well. These lines continuing through, and then tomorrow starts pretty quietly and then really busts up into some significant storms. Not quite the same coverage as the H2LR, but still quite a lot going on there. Plenty of opportunity into Louisiana, and in fact, to be honest, it's a lot more linear. But there's still a fair bit of potential in that, and then later on into Sunday as well. Still plenty of opportunity there across the Carolinas. So that's those two main models that we're looking at. Is that a severe thunderstorm warning yet, or is it still a marine warning off Mobile Bay?
Still a marine, but it got extended to include Dolphin Island.
Yeah, so there we go. I don't know if you guys saw those model runs. What did you think of the output there?
I thought it was wow.
The environment developing.
I was sort of looking at the models like on my end with you.
Uh-huh.
One thing I did notice, the significant tornado parameter is moderately high this time around. It's kind of a high factor in these storms this time around. So that means that if tornadoes do form, they're likely to be significant if they form.
We
To
also
say
have
that, there's an extension there, yeah.
to a tornado warning.
Yeah, there's an extension.
Watching southwestern Choctaw County and northeastern Wayne County, Alabama and Mississippi.
But it's no longer observed.
No longer observed. This was the old warning. We're just waiting for the new one to load in, if it does. For some reason, this is a lot slower than it used to be, their warning service on X. Well, there it is. Melvin, Hiwanee, and Matherville until 4:30 p.m. Only a small population now, 936. That'll probably drop even further after it passes Hiwanee shortly. So generally rural areas, but still there are some people in there moving northeast at 25 miles per hour. Take cover now. Thankfully, it hasn't really affected any major areas. Maury, I just caught you looking at that thing down there off the coast. Looking interesting with that rotation, is it not?
It was just a second ago, although the most recent scan,
okay.
I don't know if it's a glitch or not, but I mean, it could have just weakened. It was looking interesting. So, yeah, we'll have to wait a couple more frames. It does look like it's going to miss Dolphin Island. It will approach close to Bayou La Batre. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
But
it will approach that area and approach maybe south of Bellefontaine. And then it will enter into Mobile Bay.
Aiden Hurricane says that they live an hour east of Knoxville, Tennessee. How concerned should I be with the storm? I don't recall seeing anything too bad over there. Certainly not tomorrow. You're probably on the edge of the marginal if you're on anything at all, and then you're in. I assume you'll be in a marginal on Sunday.
Well, it depends where. Like it depends if they're across the state line into North Carolina.
Well, if they
on
were, I would have
Sunday.
thought they'd have said they would be near a city in North Carolina. I assume they're in Tennessee, at which point you're in a marginal for Sunday and marginal
Yeah. Okay.
outside
so
of it, maybe outside the marginal tomorrow. I don't know, but basically, you'd be very, very unlucky to have any kind of damaging weather tomorrow at your place.
Yeah. Saturday and Sunday.
So, Maury, Blaine, just before he left us there, was talking about that severe thunderstorm warning to the north. How's it looking? Blowing up, from what we heard.
Yeah, I think it's getting a little more messy, and that's what he meant by blowing up. But I also do think it's blowing up some convection too.
Self-destructing blowing up.
Yeah. But I think it's still separating itself enough from the convection in Meridian and Livingston to still kind of be its own system. So it still has potential to it, but I really don't think it's going to produce any tornadoes. I just think it's going to produce some hail at most.
And one of our regulars, Redneck Lover 22. How does the weather look in Albany, Georgia for tomorrow? They'll be parked there for the night. Albany, Georgia. Well, tomorrow Georgia ain't going to have too much, but it'll be the overnight period into Sunday. I imagine there might be a bit more going on. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's going to be like Sunday morning where most of this stuff is happening. Tomorrow, they'll be in a margin.
Yeah, so more daytime Sunday for you there. And anywhere in eastern Georgia, really. Western Georgia, you might just get it near the end of the night, but coming into those morning hours. Still a decent looking rotation on that tornado warning.
Yeah.
Where's that
Thankfully,
CC drop
it's still
gone,
not,
though? It's disappeared.
Yeah, it's not on the ground anymore. One thing that might suggest, though, that it might just suggest that it's in more rural areas with less areas to damage. So it could still potentially be on the ground. It just isn't showing up.
And I believe it's getting more spotty radar coverage, is it?
Yeah, I think so too. You can't use the Jackson radar anymore. You can only use the Mobile radar. Because the Jackson radar is kind of getting all messy.
Speaking of messy, looking pretty dark and messy down there in the distance, looking from Mobile. Looks like it's dropping a ton of rain there. I'm not familiar with the area, so I don't know where we're looking at or what direction. But you can see pretty stormy looking cloud there in the near distance in Mobile.
Well, it's very wet and a dark cloud coming towards the camera.
Possibly, I'm not sure. But you can definitely see what's going on over Mobile Bay there with that marine warning. And that is continuing along there, northeasterly as well. Moving quite slowly, actually. But we were mainly looking towards tomorrow on tonight's outlook. And we will be finishing our stream in a few minutes. But we will still have a bunch of other stuff going on. We've got our tropical weather bulletin tonight. We have, obviously, very extensive coverage of this event tomorrow. Do you think, Maury, it will be will it all happen at once and we'll be really busy for hours? Or do you think it will be more of a kind of event that we'll be seeing tornadoes popping up throughout the day and it's going to be difficult to actually pinpoint a peak time, a prime time? Did that question just fall on deaf ears? I think it did.
I heard it. Maui?
I
So
think
what time
Tyler's
does the
busy over
event
there.
going to start? 6 a.m. or 7 a.m.?
Thinking local time, I mean, you're looking in Texas, it will probably really start blowing up by the time we get to about 9 or 10 a.m. And by the time we get into the afternoon hours, there'll be a lot of stuff going on. I am curious as to how much we'll see at once, and whether it might just be strung out across the whole day, where we'll just get warnings here and there.
And into Sunday.
And into Sunday, absolutely. Another question, thoughts on tomorrow? I think there is an elevated risk, it's actually a comment, elevated risk when the nocturnal period reaches around 0 to 3Z, which is 3 hours from now, tomorrow, where the low-level jet coinciding with a much more defined surface pattern. That is interesting, and you may be right on that one. That would be absolutely a concern.
I've got some updated information. The day 3 to... Oh, no. I won't. The fire outlook. We're not interested in the fire.
Well, there
No.
won't be anything in the fire outlook, I'm pretty sure. But
Mid-level shortwave troughs
Oh, I'm sorry, there is.
expected
There's
to
an
traverse the
elevated.
southern condor.
There's an elevated fire
Yeah.
weather outlook on day
Yep.
2. Along the border area of Texas, in case anyone was interested in that. But right now we still
Sorry,
have.
Gaga.
See you later. Then this is this tornado warning, which we're still looking at, and actually I think it's looking better, Maury.
Yeah, I think it is too. I mean, it doesn't have a CC drop, but it does look like it is reorganizing. And that really goes to show how long tracked this storm is. I'm not sure. It doesn't look like it's undergoing many mergers. There's not a lot of storms out in front of it, so it's fairly isolated, and I think it still has some potential left as it enters into Alabama. Yeah, and with the newest scan, it does look nice and compact.
Yeah. Nothing resembling a CC drop there, but it does look impressive on that velocity that we're looking at here.
Yes.
Now, I think we've got an updated storm warning for southeastern Clark County and east central Mississippi. 13 Shibuya, 13 miles north of Waynesboro, moving northeast at 35 miles per
This
hour.
is the warning, yeah.
60 mile per hour wind gusts and penny-sized hail.
Yeah, you're
Radar
talking about
indicated.
that severe
Is that the
thunderstorm warning
current one?
tacked onto the top of it there, I think.
Yeah, yeah. There was a severe thunderstorm warning just issued.
Right, so that's a new one. I'm also following X, but as you said, it's a bit slow at times.
Well, slow on the National Weather Service automated warnings, but it's a very pretty rural area up there, so it wouldn't surprise me if we didn't see much regarding that. But
One thing I will say. Oh, sorry, you go.
That looks interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say there's this supercell, or seems to be a supercell, just northeast of Spanish Fort. This, I believe, was the same storm that produced that tornado near Granbury.
May well
so
be.
it might be reorg.
So there's another one to look at there. David?
And we've only got one tornado warning expires in around 36 minutes.
Ooh, it's out for quite a while then. But of course we will be here all day tomorrow covering that main event. Maury, when do you think the peak of the event will be, if it has a peak time?
I mean, honestly, the event probably will last all day.
Well,
maybe like, I think it'll start at like 10 a.m. local time, all the way into around 10 p.m. 10 p.m.
Or later. I mean, we're probably going to be starting out with an automated stream. We'll probably be starting pretty early, maybe about 7 or 8 a.m. Central, with an automated feed. And I guess what we'll be doing throughout the day is breaking in with coverage whenever things happen. But certainly, if it feels like we're getting a more coordinated event, then we may actually, go ahead and schedule a proper live stream window. I mean, we'll have to figure out how it goes, but it's going to be a long 48 hours, because it's also going to persist into Sunday when we watch these storms continue into the East Coast area, Carolinas.
One of our members has just posted, just looked at the SPC for tomorrow. There's a small chance that, dependent on how conditions develop, we could see a small moderate risk area, likely in extreme eastern LA and into central MS.
Well, you
I
reckon
don't
it's
say this lightly.
a small chance? I reckon there's a very good chance when you see the size of the enhanced risk for tomorrow. I think there's a very good chance that it will go moderate. We hope it doesn't.
Depending on how the dynamics, considering the dynamics and how they line up. So,
And how many
well,
times
it's
have
going
you
to be a
seen
wait
an
and
enhanced
see.
risk that is almost as big as 2 states and it
Yes.
doesn't go moderate? I mean, it may not. It depends on a lot of things right now. And we're hardly talking about super conducive conditions here, are we, Maury? They're more on the marginal side, but there's going to be tons of opportunities for these systems to develop tomorrow, all across the board.
Yeah, I think it'll be along the line a little bit, and also with those cells that appear in front of it.
Mm-hmm. And that will be pretty much the story into Sunday as well. Again, you're looking at that
Yes.
feature there near Mobile, and that current tornado warning, which has been active the whole time we've been here, actually, this whole hour, that has been plaguing us, mostly over rural areas right now, small populations, less than 1,000, but of course you may be in that zone. If you are, take cover immediately. Well, Notebook says, asks as if we've seen the tornado report from an hour ago near Union Church, Alabama.
Yes, that was the one that we were talking about,
Right.
near Grand Bay.
Okay, good. So we had that one covered there. So, Maury, in the next hour or so, what do you think we might see here? This current tornado warning and those other little things near Mobile Bay could cause problems?
Yeah, I think that waterspout potential storm near Dauphin Island will continue to move ashore and potentially produce some hail and maybe some possible tornadoes. This storm near Bay Minette may also develop as it crosses into northwestern Florida. And then we still have this storm, which may try to recycle more, but I do think it might be running out of time.
The
because
tornado warning.
Yes, the tornado warning, because this area has less moisture since it's farther away from the coast, so it might run out of time soon enough. But at the moment, it doesn't look like that's the case.
Well, we've run out of time. We're finishing up here for the night now. For those who know the 413 channel, we're mostly tropics. We also do severe weather, though. We're hoping to do a lot more of everything next year. In fact, we're hoping to boot up a special New Year countdown. We're joining that bandwagon as well. We're going to be doing that tomorrow, I think, too. Setting up a stream showing you like the countdown in all the different places of the world with satellite imagery. I think that'd be a cool way of looking at things. And of course, our full coverage of tomorrow's event on the way, and a tropical weather bulletin later tonight. We'll also, I think, have a few more animations coming up. For those wondering about 2024 Atlantic, I think, don't quote me on this yet, but I think we may have it on New Year's Eve during our New Year's party stream that we've been doing for every year since 2016. Goodness me. That'll be, what's that then, our 9th Christmas party, New Year party? Something like that. But from us here, it's good night, and we'll be probably waking you up with live automated coverage first thing tomorrow, and that will run throughout the whole day, and we'll be breaking in with commentary as and when, and perhaps a full-on event too. So we'll have you well covered through this big event tomorrow, and it probably will be big, at least in coverage, if not in intensity as well, but I reckon it's going to be both. Thanks to Maury, David, Blaine, was there someone else here as well? I've forgotten now, and Logan for joining me tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow. Good night.